I'd like to call a work session order for June 9th, 2025. City Clerk, roll call.
Let the record reflect that all members are present.
Thank you. We have one item on the agenda tonight. Would like to remind council that staff will be pausing every so often to answer any questions. First item is fiscal year 25 through 27 strategic plan, cultural journey update. Please go ahead and introduce yourself to the public.
Mayor and Council, Lyman Lockett, Human Resources Director. Tonight I'm here with Francis Coggins. Francis is the Regional Director from Gallup. He's one of our Gallup partners. We're excited to be here tonight to talk about our most recent Gallup Q12 survey. Before I turn things over to Francis, I'd like to provide a little bit of background and let you know where we're at with what we affectionately call the culture journey. Goodyear's culture continues to be a defining point in our ability to attract top talent and, even more importantly, deliver high-quality services to the citizens of Goodyear. As we often say, if you don't design the culture we want, we will be constrained or obstructed by the culture that evolves. Council's forward thinking to establish the council focus area of innovative and high-performing organization in the strategic plan, along with an ongoing action item focused on the culture journey, has provided policy direction that fuels this effort. In crafting this forward-thinking direction, Council recognized that service delivery to the citizens is greatly enhanced by fostering and creating a work environment where talented people can thrive and deliver their best work. And as you know, this council focus area is one that we reported on last year. A little later in the year last year, we're back again. We've accelerated our timeline. Our survey timing is about the same, but we'll talk about that in greater detail in a moment. As part of our effort to intentionally design a thriving workplace culture, we have been on a culture journey for several years, starting with phase one of this process. And in phase one of this process, we created and defined behaviors around our core values. We relaunched these core values to the organization, and it's a foundational element of the work that we do throughout our culture. We moved to phase two. This mouse is a little tricky here, so let me just back up there. Phase two, we implemented strategies to develop people using things such as Clifton Strengths, the IDP or Individual Development Plan, and we introduced a new performance development system called Threads Culture. Threads is a key component of creating a culture of feedback and recognition and accountability to uphold our core values. And finally, in phase three, as we reached the end of phase three, we embarked on an initiative to move forward with a focus, not solely a focus on satisfaction, but to include engagement in the work that we're doing. Employee engagement is a cornerstone of our workplace culture as we continue to move forward. This strategy entails transitioning to Gallup Q12 survey as a primary measure of employee engagement. This strategy has also broadened our comparative benchmark beyond solely government, and we're looking at leaders across the country to both challenge ourselves to continue to improve upon the work that we've done and to get better and better. We've also integrated, and many of our leaders have embraced the challenge of becoming a best practice organization with Gallup, and also engaging themselves in Boss to Coach training. Lastly, this is our most recent survey cycle, our third survey cycle. Gallup leaders across the organization have been working diligently with their teams, with their action planning processes, and we believe we're starting to see the kind of results that we're looking for and that we're very excited about. I'll turn things over to Francis now, who will walk through our latest Q12 survey results.
Thank you, Lyman. Good evening, Council. It's a pleasure to be here and an honor to be here in person with you all. Before I get started, I just want to say a big thank you to your HR department here at the city. Their professionalism, the way their responsiveness, and their thought partnership in this project has been second to none. They've just been an absolute pleasure to work with. Before we jump into your city data, I think it's always a good action to level set the room on what's happening with the rest of the United States workforce. If you want to go ahead and, here we go, thank you.
Yeah, I can.
So, oh, that is finicky, Lyman. Let's see if we can roll that back up. Just want to get to the agenda slide.
Yeah. Come over here. Here we go. There we go.
So we'll start the conversation this evening with why employee engagement matters. It's much more than a satisfaction measurement. You know, employee engagement can predict the organizational performance for the city. We'll go into the actual results for the city of Goodyear and walk through some key highlights and takeaways I want every council member to be mindful of and also be proud of. There's a lot of good things happening here right now at the city of Goodyear. And then also we'll end with some recommendations and any questions that we have. More than happy to provide any insight and take the conversation whichever direction we feel is most appropriate.
Oops. Yeah, the keyboard's not working. Yeah, we had some challenges
Did
here.
replace the batteries too.
There we go.
Terrific. So if I could direct your attention to the chart here. So Gallup's been measuring employee engagement for over 25 years across the globe, not only here in the United States. As you can see, for 2000, since 2000, or really about 2008, we've been on a steadily incline with engagement. And when we say employee engagement, we're referring to the discretionary the level of effort that employees are putting into their organization's mission, their purpose. Your engaged employees will come up with innovative, better way, forward-thinking, just more efficient ways to do things. And as you can see in the last couple of years, we are starting to do a serious decline since COVID. A lot of the effort that individuals give their employer here in the United States, they're withholding discretionary effort, to be honest, and we are now at an 11-year low for the categorically engaged population of the American workforce. So the context here, the big takeaway from this slide is the rest of the world is going backwards at the moment, and City of Goodyear found a way to progress and actually move the needle forward. The reason we care about engagement is because it's a predictor of organizational performance. We know that engaged employees create engaged communities. So when we think about some of the high-level KPIs that we look for here at the city, is like, are we retaining top talent, for Goodyear? Are we working more productive, more efficiently than other organizations or to the best of our ability? Can we say you can have a better quality of life, higher well-being, being employed for the city here? And the answer is yes, whenever we get these needs consistently met with the 12 drivers that we'll go through here in just a second. There's also negative outcomes that we can help insulate and isolate whenever it comes to an engaged workplace. People are paying a little bit more attention to their jobs. If you're out in the field, you're less likely to make an error that's going to hurt you or hurt someone else whenever you're connected to that mission and the purpose. I like to say, if you can answer these 3 questions, you like what you do, you like who you do it with, and you want to do more of it, it's going to be a heck of a lot easier to hit whatever citywide or organizational performance goal we're aiming for. So hopefully the Q12, which we'll get to here in just a second, they're starting to look a little bit more familiar to you. This isn't our first time to administer the survey for Goodyear. Similar to previous administrations, want to take a second and just pause and talk through the framework here. Similar to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, to be connected, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we have everyone in life strives for the pinnacle of happiness, right? Before you can be truly happy in your life, you have to have food, safety, shelter, even love's involved in there. Similar methodology for creating an engaged workforce. We start at the basic needs. There's certain fundamental needs that need to be met before we can start thinking about teamwork, collaboration, innovation, and growth for the city. So if you look at the slide here, how we've outlined this, we start at the bottom of the pyramid where drivers 1 through 6, Q01 through Q06 are really foundational. Once we start to make strides and progress on the foundation, we can really start to run quickly on that top half of the pyramid when we think about things like trust in the workplace, opportunities to learn and grow, commitment to quality starts to improve as well. So a couple of the key highlights from this most recent administration. This is our 3rd go-round with the Gallup Q12. We're at an all-time high. If Your culture is an extremely healthy state. As I mentioned earlier, the rest of the world seems to be taking a step backwards. The city of Goodyear is persevering forward on the level of effort and commitment that we're seeing in your workforce. World-class participation at 96%. The people that work here, they are not only willing to stop what they're doing and give their opinion, give their feedback, but they expect action. When you have high participation, they've seen things change that happened from their last survey, so they're more willing to come back and give you 5 minutes of their input on their experience working for the city here. I work personally with a lot of other organizations in the public sector, in the local government realm, and I've seen time and time again, we'll have significant increases on one or two of the items that we action planned around. Every single item went up for the city of Goodyear. All 12 drivers. It's you're in rare air when that can happen with any survey administration, especially between one administration to the next. Some of the more meaningful or significant changes we've seen are Q4, Q7, and Q11, so that recognition. We don't ask, did your boss or supervisor give you recognition? It's at work someone gave you recognition, so that peer-to-peer recognition goes a long way. We start to create a culture of that, and good things start to happen on the other end as far as outcomes we're going for. Their opinions count. You've asked me my opinion, and we're actually seeing changes. Progress is being made on that. And then Q11, those opportunities to learn and grow, and someone's talked to me about my progress, my career path here for the city. Meaningful increases of 0.15 and greater. A sample size of over 1,000 employees, 0.10 is meaningful change. That means to the naked eye, someone could walk into that department and feel something's different here. Like, it's almost palatable, the culture that you're creating in certain areas of the organization, which is really, really impressive to see. When we compare you against the Gallup overall database, which is the most competitive employee engagement database in the world, we're at the 65th percentile. There is a little bit of runway for improvement, but like I said, you're being benchmarked against excellence. There's, local government and other cities that we've worked with for years and years. You're really being compared against some of the most engaged organizations and engaged cities, on planet Earth here. When we look at, hey, where do we want to action plan or think about where we have some strides at, those foundational items, I think there's some low-hanging fruit that we can start to address at the local level, having managers have these action plan conversations around expectations and then materials and equipment. Quick example could be like, hey, do you know what's expected of you at work, and like what does a quality day look like in a particular role? If you're in accounting, is it less than so many errors on a report? If you're on customer services, is it handling X amount of tickets? Just defining what a day of excellence looks like in a particular role can go a long way, especially with the recognition item. If you don't know what's expected of you at work, it's really hard to get positive feedback and recognition for doing a good job. So you'll notice a lot of these items are correlated together. We go next slide.
She's working it over there, yeah. There we go.
So I want to give some high-level comparisons when we look at Goodyear's data versus the Gallup overall database. As I mentioned, 65th percentile when being compared against excellence. When we compare you to your peer group, 80th percentile, top quartile of the Gallup Public Sector database. So, huge congratulations. This does not happen by accident. This is a dedicated effort, a commitment to creating an exceptional workplace. We have a saying, we should never strive to be good enough for government. We want you to be a world-class employer, an exceptional place to work, no matter what your background is, whether it's private or public. We aspire to be a Gallup Exceptional Workplace Award winner here. Then when we compare you against the timeline database on the far right, our third administration clients put you at the same starting point. We're at the 68th percentile. So point in time, you're actually changing quicker. Your culture's moving in the right direction faster than over half, almost 3/4 of other clients that are on their third Q12 administration with us. So another thing to highlight and really celebrate the effort that your city leadership and your managers are putting forth is yielding the results we want it to. Once again, on this particular slide here, the current grand mean in that middle, that green box, that's all 12 drivers averaged out. We're at a 4.29 on a 5-point Likert scale. Made significant increase from a 4.15 in the previous administration. on the participation rates on the far left box here, the past 91% of our people were willing to stop what they were doing to give us some feedback. This year, 96%. That means action plan is working. Like, people are seeing, like, hey, something special is happening in that department. Like, I'm going to stop what I'm doing. I'm going to give some feedback because conversations are happening here. Something to be proud of. And then the overall median average on the Q12 is 84%. Goodyear blew it out the water. You're over 10 percentile points on participation versus our overall Gallup database, which has tens of millions of responses in it. Top quartile teams. Over half of your teams are in the top quartile, 75th percentile or higher in our database. That's really, really impressive. That means you have a lot of just innate manager and leadership talent sitting in the wings here and actually being deployed for the city. We want to study our best. Let's figure out what those top quartile teams are doing, what looks different for them than some of the other departments. We'll replicate that across the organization. I wanted to present an item level breakdown for the council here. If we look at the particular drivers, so starting at the top, Q0, that's that satisfaction. These are more the tangible things. This could be things like, pay, parking, consistently get my paycheck on time. It's not really engagement, but it is an important indicator and a metric that we want to study and always monitor. Top half of the database on that with 63rd percentile and increasing. When we look at some meaningful changes, that's 0.20 or more for this particular sample size. If we look at recognition, up 0.2, almost a quarter point there between now or basically 12 months ago, and that 60th percentile. So meaningful changes there, and that persnickety best friend question that Gallup gets all the questions about trust in the workplace, and do I have someone I can go share good news, or if I'm having a bad day, is someone there to help lift me up. Significant change there as well on progress. Trust is not an issue for the city, which is just a joy to report. And then progress. Your people leaders are actually talking to their employees about what they're doing well, what their future can look like here. And it's a really important indicator to make sure we're creating the right culture and setting the tone to not only retain top talent, but to start to attract top talent from elsewhere. So this is the macro level readout. So if I was to say let's play a game of tug of war with the city of Goodyear, Goodyear's culture here, you have 10 employees pulling your culture in the right direction versus every one in the wrong direction. If you think about it, who's going to win that culture shift here? It's almost abnormal to not like working here. It's that 10.5 to 1 ratio. As you can see last administration, we're at 8.5 to 1. So we actually moved the needle in both pockets here where we're taking that not engaged, the yellow. Last year, 41% of your workforce, some days they're all in with you. They're giving you that discretionary effort. They were connected to the mission, the purpose here. But some days, a lot of times they wouldn't be there. This population shows up and does the bare minimum, just to stay employed. We've actually shrunk that not engaged population and moved them in the right direction. They didn't fall down to the actively disengaged, where we have that us versus them mentality. They moved like, hey, this is the home for me. I enjoy working here. Goes back to those 3 questions. I like what I do. I like who I do it with, and I want to do more of it, or 3 statements, I should say. So it's really, really good that the needle's moving in the right direction for both sets of the population. And for the actively disengaged, 6%, you're not going to get every hire perfect, and there's things that happen in the workplace, life events during survey periods. So anytime we can have this in the single digits, it's a win. That's extremely healthy. The hundreds and hundreds of organizations I've worked with over my 10 years at Gallup, I've never seen this in 0 or even 1%. So the fact that only 6% of the Goodyear's overall workforce, let's just maintain that momentum. So you'll be an outlier if you're not engaged in your work here. So on this, this is the item level breakdown again, but what we're going to look for, what we're looking at now is the variances in response. So the percentage of employees that are giving us that 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 on the Likert scale rating. If you look at that recognition, there's still 7% of the workforce that are giving that a 1. And a Likert scale is a very competitive metric, right? That's why we use it here at Gallup. It's against human nature to go all the way down to a 1 if someone asks your opinion. What we look for in this particular slide here, this report, is the variance, like what items or what drivers or people having different experiences inside of Goodyear. So there's a little bit more variance we want to see on that recognition, although we're making leaps and bounds. You can see it's one of the highest gainers, so I can anticipate if we can continue that momentum going into next year, that's going to shrink as well. But if you look at the 4s and the 5s, that lighter green to the yellow, those are the gettable population. It's up to our managers' jobs, supervisors, team leaders. Hey, what does, for opinions count? Like, what does a 5 look like for you? I don't need to know what you scored, but just having the conversation. The 4, that darker, the teal color there, it's like a yes, but. It's like, yeah, that's most of the time, but there's something getting in the way from me giving that a 5. And our job is to uncover that. What's in your way? Like, what does a 5 look like for this team, this department, this individual, and start to unlock that next level of performance that comes when we know that my workplace needs and psychological needs are consistently being met.
And lastly, we have some insight on where we're going. So survey data is being released to all teams, just got released to all teams this week. We'll be meeting with the organization and sharing data over the road shows that'll happen throughout the month of June. And teams are starting their action planning. I think what's exciting is the action planning process on our third administration is more intentional. Leaders are looking at this and they're very excited about their data. They're very excited about the possibility of being a Gallup best practice organization. So we're hearing great things about the action planning process that is either starting or will be underway over the next month. We have phase 4 rollout. So each of our phases of our intentional design have what we call a WIG, a wildly important goal. We are putting the final touches on that, and that'll be rolling out to the organization. This will be the next phase of our culture design and will carry us for the next 2 years. Part of that phase 4 rollout is going to be really honing in on becoming a Gallup best practice organization. That's our goal. We're going to set our goal high and we're going to go after it. We have in the strategic plan coming up, we've got a staffing plan coming up. We'll use data both from our Gallup survey as well as data from organizational leaders to develop this 3 to 5 year staffing plan, and that'll be coming back to council. And then in FY27, we've got our succession planning. So as we continue to work our way through the organization and really hone in on our culture, you're going to see these elements reflected both in our staffing plans as well as our succession planning processes. With that, we will open up for any questions that council has.
All right, with that, got any questions? Vicki? Brandon? Anita?
These are exceptional results, and congratulations to you, Lyman, and your team. And this is a good collaboration with Gallup, for sure. And it's a daunting task to steward a culture, and it's really very encouraging to see that it's done so well. We are out and about a lot of places, and we hear a lot of things anecdotally. But I think overall, Goodyear's reputation has been very strong. And it's good to see the efforts being made to make it even stronger. It's kind of ironic, we're doing really good at the hard stuff, at the basic stuff, the expectation materials. That's where we have the most room for improvement. So, hopefully that'll be something that is pretty easy to get done. As our employee engagement increases, it becomes easier to identify those who are not engaged or actively not engaged. And what is the strategy to help those people?
And one of the things that we've had a lot of conversation working with our Gallup partners on, back to the gettables. So those people that are in that 4 category, we're obviously going to be working to move them to the 5s. You've got those that are 1, 2s, and 3s. I think our culture is a defining component, and we're seeing it more and more often as it becomes more prominent, more tangible. People are opting in or opting out. But also, back to your point on Q1, which is knowing what's expected of you, becoming more intentional about what's expected. What does a good day's work look like? We're going to be spending a lot of time on what best work looks like. That's part of our next phase 4 WIG. really honing in on best work, defining best work like we defined our core values so that every employee knows what that looks like. Every supervisor knows what the accountability measure should be for those. And we believe that's going to continue to drive our culture. One of the questions in Q12 has to do with wanting to work with people who are invested in quality work. Again, when you start looking at Q1, knowing what's expected of you, and Q2, which is having the materials and equipment, those base level needs, when we drive those, we believe we can drive these other components of the survey as well.
Wonderful. Well, this is a great report. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Molly?
Well, I really think it starts at the top of our city. Our city manager, our deputies, our directors, they set the tone for this city. And it's really critical that they continue to remain approachable, which they all are. I love the road shows. I think that is just the best way to get people engaged. Even if they don't want to attend, they're going to hear something that they didn't know and they're going to learn. And we've come such a long way in the 15 years that I've been on council, just with the engagement of our employees. We value every single one of our employees. We appreciate what they do. We try to do things that let them know how much we appreciate them. We have a lot of engagement with them. But as council, we, of course, do not go into their workplace and we don't tell them how to do anything. But we love to go to the parties with them. We can party just as hard as they can. And we like lots of parties and lots of recognition. And I just think that's so important. Being a former staffer, it's really important that your voice is heard, even if it's not something that they agree with, or even if it's something that's not doable. Everybody wants to be heard at their level, and they want to be taken seriously. And if someone has not been doing really a wonderful job, we just need our directors or our leaders or their supervisors to walk alongside of them and help boost them up so that they do that. And I'm amazed at how many other council members weekly call me and say, how is your city doing that? And how do you do it? And I just say, we've got the absolute best staff. Everybody wants to work at Goodyear because we work as a team. We're a total team from the top to the bottom. And we try to look after everyone. And if someone has an issue, we try to be there to help them, whatever it is. So I just think it's important that the staff continues to know that we value them and that we're there for them and that we're going to try to make them be the very best that they can be. And thank you for this. This is really exciting. And yes, we want to be the best. And I was in D.C. recently, and I was amazed at nobody's at work. Nobody wants to work. Nobody's in the buildings. And it just, we're so different. We're out beating the bushes, and we're doing our things, and Goodyear is booming, and we're happy. And so it's a different culture entirely. But we have really invested a lot of time and effort and money and really strategic planning in our culture. And we want to have the best culture of any city in America. And I think we're on the right track. I think so.
I agree.
Thank you.
Good. Nikki? She said it, you good? All right, the only thing I want to add, because there's some good comments on here, is that number one, when I do the employee orientation, first question I always ask is, what brought you here? And it's always says they've heard great things about the city of Goodyear. They want to be here. And even if it's police officers or firefighters, they're coming from other places. Why? They want to work for our organization. And when I'm out in the public, I've got a lot of good things to say about the employees. So again, thank you all out there. You get a lot of plus for everything that you do. And again, I match you guys up to anybody out there in any organization. And you are the reason why we are as successful as we are. Yes, City Manager.
I just want to echo and say thank you to the council for your support in all of our journey here. The team behind me, they make it happen back there. And so really appreciate, again, though, your support and thank you for that. And then a little teaser is next week we're going to do the community survey results. Excited about sharing those with you, so.
I appreciate that.
All right, have a good, that's it.
All right, thank you. With that, no further business. This meeting's over. Give us about 10 minutes? 10 minutes to set up? We're going over there now, yeah.